that was. It's a beautiful day out here. Once again, from a secret, undisclosed location, hidden somewhere deep in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's, comes In the Library of Graphic Literature, with your host, me, Wallace Ryan. Now, it's a beautiful sunny day here. I'm being lit naturally by the sun. I got a few lights on, and anyway, just light it up. But summer really seems to be here, all the way out here on the island, and we're happy as you can be. I actually had started to shoot this episode a few minutes ago, but my batteries ran out. I don't know what it is with batteries or stuff these days, but just plain sad. So I had to restart the whole damn thing. So this week, let's see, comics are in full swing. Oh, and I got a call just before I set to doing this from my good buddy Jason Conway, Downtown Comics here in St. John's, and he was telling me how DC Comics now, and he said and I sort of missed this. I thought they were still working with Diamond, but apparently the break is solid now, and he's going to have to start getting his DC stuff from another distributor. So once again, thanks DC for really sticking it to the comic book stores. If you want to hear me rave, me and Dennis rave more about this, check out next week's Thursday Comics podcast, because we going to be angry, and I mean we're going to be really angry. It's terrible. It's just adding to the cost for the local comic book store, and it's a terrible move, and you'll hear more of it there. Actually, there's also last night we posted a new episode of Thursday Comics, and we talked about Erlen Schumer's webinar, the 80th anniversary of Will Eisner's Spirit, which was a lot of fun. So check that out and learn more about it. And we talk about, we also did talk a little bit about DC, but we didn't really get into it. We talked about the Eisner Awards, which I was snubbed once again. Next year. Yeah, so check it out. And let's get down to some books here now. Our new comics came in on Tuesday. So rather than shoot one on Tuesday and then one on Thursday, which they did come in yesterday, I decided I'm just going to shoot one big one just to get us all back on track here. So let's have a look at the new comics, or the new books anyway. Oh yeah, and for all you down in the States there and all that, with all the terrible social turmoil after the murder of George Floyd, just like to say that Black lives do matter a lot. So everyone down there, teach your children, as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young said. Obviously, the last generation really didn't teach their children enough, or at least teach certain children. So, be good to each other. We love, not hate. Anyway, speaking of love, here's my love. Let's highlight my love of comics. Okay, so this week we're going to start off with Baltimore, and this actually is very apropos. It's set during a plague time, so this is actually very relevant to today, and it's definitely worth reading. I love Mignola verse stuff. Of course, he always gets people who draw in a similar style to him, or in a way that really does suit. That's what I like about Mignola, is that he can pick these people who write draw almost in his style, but are still unique enough in their own right. They can really carry it off. And I love this. If you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft or Robert E. Howard and the supernatural or horror, this is the book for you. I love Baltimore. Can't recommend it enough. Well, I can, and I will. So I do recommend it. Check it out. Funny enough, I'm actually in the middle of reading volume 1 of this omnibus series, I just wanted to get into the to the whole plague frame of mind, right? During these terrible, terrible days of the COVID. And of course, don't forget, wear your masks, especially all you people down in the United States who are protesting and all that. Keeps apart from each other, but keep on at it. Now, next. And this is what I was in the middle of when I got rudely interrupted by the batteries failing in the camera. This, and I love this too. If I could tongue this book, I would. Weird Western Tales, featuring the one and only Jonah Hex. Now, of course, this isn't... I was hoping this would be more or less in the same format as DC, but the DC archives, but it seems expecting DC to respond to their to the fans these days is a job, right? DC, you really need to get your stuff together. Anyway, this they did bring us this anyway, at long last. I know how many of you out there are Jonah Hex fans. Some great work by, of course, starting out with Tony Designiga, and moves on to a few other artists. And I think ends off with Garcia Lopez. I do believe this is, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Did a good job. Funny enough, I never was like a huge fan of Lopez, but I know he does do. He actually, I really like the job he did on this. And so, but yeah, and this is Garcia Lopez, by himself there. But yeah, no, it is without doubt a competent artist. And what I'd like to see besides this volume, I'd love to see DC reprint the more modern Jonah Hex from a few years ago, the great Palmiotti ones and all that, because there's some great comics in that series. The boys did an amazing job at Jonah Hex. I'll give them that much. Big time kudos. Now I actually get to slice something open here for you, and it's from those evil guys at DC Comics. We're just not gonna give up on you, DC. We're just gonna keep at you until you come back and love us like we should be loved. Anyway, this is the Silver Age Legion of Superheroes Omnibus, Volume 3. And I'm such... I love this book. Actually, I can kiss it because it's wrapped. I could actually even lick this book because it's wrapped here. But I'm not going to do because that's just weird. I'm a big Legion fan. I was a Legion fan from when I was a child. I can remember being a child and reading adventure comics. And it was just something about it. It was like a lot of heroes for one thing. It was just like, oh wow, this is cool. This is like Justice League, but these people this is like a town of superheroes practically compared to the little get together that the Justice League seemed to be, which I also loved at the time. But yeah, it's so even as a kid, I read it. I can even remember reading the Sun Eater issue, the death of Pharaoh Lad, and I hate to say this, but as a kid, I was into this phase for a little while, where I'd get scissors and I'd cut the characters out of the comics, and I'd play with them on the table, have them fighting each other. God. Of course, slightly older me wanted to kick my younger me for doing that sort of thing. Anyway, and also too, when I got older, I returned to Legion of Superheroes around issue 199 or whatever, the Cockrum years and all that, as a young teenager, and I was really starting to get into art back then too, and sort of seen my life ahead of me as being having something to do with comics, and I began to draw from the comics, of course, like many people when they start out, and this was where it all started from. Slightly later than what's in this book here, but still it was Legion of Superheroes. And of course, I have all these in the DC Archives format, but one of these days I will start to move these actually into a second room or something like that, and just have nothing but the omnibuses and all that. But yeah, some great stuff in here too. I mean, we have Jim Shooter, E. Nelson Bridwell, and Kerry Bates working on it. Artists include Jim Mooney, Pete Costanza, Wim Mortimer, Kurt Swan, the immortal Kurt Swan, Jack Abel, George Klein, George Pat, Murphy Anderson, blah 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 blah, Sheldon Baldoff, Mike Esposito. So yeah, very cool. Loved this. Well, I loved just about every era really of the Legion of Superheroes for the most part. Even 5 years later, I was a big fan of. This also has some great covers at the time from. I think there's some cool Neil Adams covers around this time. If I'm not correct, yeah. If I'm not correct, and I am correct. So yeah, check this out if you're a Legion fan. Oh, there's that looks like a swan one actually. But yeah, absolute classic Legion of Superheroes. It's such a great comic, man. Invisible Boy, Starboy, and the Super Pets. I don't know what the Super Pets are doing hanging. As a matter of fact, I know the cover of this one. Yeah, I always like this one. The Super Pets kicking their butts. But yeah, some great, a great Neil Adams cover. I always liked the Fatal Five, one of my favorites. The original Fatal Five. Validus was just so cool. And Mano with that hand, and of course the Empress. I mean, they were one cool group of supervillains. Very unique, I thought. Right? Mordred. There you go. Oh, and here we go. Another classic Neil Adams cover. But yeah, definitely some great comics here for. Well, I love this one as a kid too. So yeah, check it out. Ooh, look at this. Getting all psychedelic there. But yeah, check these out, and I remember this one. Love those Neil Adams covers. So yeah. So I don't mind checking through and really looking at this great stuff. So the next one, we're starting to get into my era, to my second era of Legion of Superheroes fandom. So yeah, pick this up, ladies and gentlemen, because it's just some great reading. Okay, speaking of some great reading, we have a cool graphic novel here from Imai. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. Apologies, by the way, if I'm ever pronouncing things and I don't pronounce them right, because I got this big tongue in my mouth that I can never get around words sometimes. Imai Burell, We Serve the People, My Mother's Story. This looks like a great read. I'm a big history and politics buff. This is, as it says on the back, she breathes new life into the stories her mother shared of growing up during mid-1960s communist China, during what was known at the time as the Cultural Revolution. So of course I figured, That's why I like it. History's great that way. It's history really. It's lots of stories. I mean, history is tailor made for comics, and I even said to to my friend Jason when we were unpacking this came out, and he looked at it. It looks pretty cool. He said to me, I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "History should really be done. Should be taught only using comics, because the lessons really stick in." This is like watching. It's like when I was a kid watching The World at War, the classic BBC series on World War II. It just, I mean, talk about a masterclass in that conflict. It was amazing, and it was so beautifully presented. It's stuck in my mind, and and taught me history and made me enjoy it. I actually do historical comics for one of I think is actually Canada's oldest magazine, the Newfoundland Quarterly out of St. John's, Newfoundland here, and it's and they're pretty cool. I enjoy them because I get to research the subjects and learn a bit more. So it starts right from the start, of course, which all great stories do. But yeah, I can't wait to read this. It just looks so. I love the style, and just I mean, a lot of times too, I can tell after years and decades of comic book reading and all that, I can almost tell a good graphic novel just by looking at the layout and the drawing and all that. I can, this looks like good storytelling to me, and I can't wait to get my grubby little eyes all over this. So we serve the people. We serve the people. Okay. And let's wind up this week, because I want to get outside. Not only to enjoy the sun, but I got some grocery shopping to do. During COVID, I've been trying to limit my exposure to people, and so I try to pick up everything I can in one go, and I wear a mask, and so trying to make sure I don't end up as a statistic. And this is volume 3 of Rick Remender, Matteo Scalera, and Moreno Dinicio, Black Science. I have to catch up on reading this. Actually, I've read the first one, and I liked it. There was something very cool about it. So it's the type of thing. Actually, what I'll do is I'll start off right from the start again, and I'll probably even reread the first volume just to get back into it. But I love Remender stuff. Remender is a fabulous writer. I loved his Fantastic Four was absolutely amazing, and what he did too with the X-Men has been just stupendous. So the guy can obviously write. So do us a favor and check it out. As a matter of fact, let's have a close-in look here. Ooh. It's a cartoony style, but it works, right? Nothing like some good old fantasy sci-fi. But yeah, it looks pretty darn good. So yeah, check it out and enjoy. Black Science, Volume 3. And that's it for this week. Once again, glad to have the comics back. Glad to have you, the audience, back here with me. I miss talking about the new comics too, and bringing new books to people to run out and pick up themselves. But during the COVID, I did a lot of special episodes just talking about certain artists and stuff like that, and collections, and I had a good time and had a great time chatting with all you fine folks in the comment section. That's another thing too. If you want to leave a comment, leave it right in underneath the video itself. I treat the comment section for my show as like the letters page. So I do try to get in and answer every single letter if I can. So, and it's just great chatting with the audience. It's almost like, I know before a lot of TV audiences, when you go to see a TV show, the host will come out and take questions and stuff like that, and that's sort of the way I can do it. It's through the comment section. So if you got anything good, bad, indifferent, whatever, or even if you got a recommendation, say, hey, well, you should check out this or that. I do take requests, so so check it out, folks. And in the meantime, if it's beautiful where you are, go out, have a walk in the park, and love thy neighbor. You got it. And with that, let's boom tube our way out of here. Oh, it's taking off. Okay, love y'all.